Joining us live right now is Canadian journalist Daniel Bordman. Thank you so much for your time. I want to begin by asking you that we have the dossier with us that talks about the manner in which Nijjar was in Pakistan, where he met ISI, where he in fact conspired. Also training, an arms training was done in Canada. The dossier details about the kind of terror activities this man was involved in. But the Prime Minister of Canada chooses to simply call him a Canadian citizen who was killed, allegedly by India, is what he says. What do you have to say about this dossier?
I mean, the dossier from the Indian government, it's pretty explosive. Yes. It provides facts, it provides details. There's also things that you can open source and corroborate those specific details. We have videos of Nijjar firing off AK-47s. Sure. We have videos of him sympathizing with terrorism. We have videos of there's open source intelligence. You know, open source. There's a story in the Vancouver Sun from 2016, Canadian media, that this guy might be running a terrorist training camp in British Columbia. So that's Canadian media. So I just did my own open source intelligence briefing to prove that he was involved in terrorist activities. This is absolutely insane behavior by the Canadian government. It looks like we had nothing. And we had nothing all along, and I'm so mad. It's so embarrassing. It's so damaging to the country. It's damaging to our relationship. And yes, Dave Envy hedged that there might be some top secret non-open source thing that we still haven't seen, maybe. But if we had anything, why wouldn't we show it to the Indian government? Why wouldn't we show it to Five Eyes?
The Prime Minister has just said that this information was shared with India 2 weeks ago. Until 2 days ago, the Ministry of External Affairs in India has said there has been no information, there has been no proof that has been shared, there has been no evidence that has been shared.
Well, this isn't quite evidence. I mean, what Envy said is we have open source intelligence, yes, which is Googling it, right? This is all public. True. So, I mean, did we go? I mean, what I postulated as the most likely thing with the Trudeau report, because unfortunately I speak fluent Justin Trudeau, and I can't remember where I said this because I've been talking for the last 4 days everywhere. I postulated, because I get this a lot, whenever a Sikh person dies in Canada or anywhere, there are insane Khalistani conspiracy theorists who go off. I have them in my direct messages, I have them in my Twitter responses, I have them in emails. I've seen the conspiracies. Did some Khalistani nut job just start emailing CSIS and the RCMP a bunch of Twitter and Google stuff, and they coalesced it into one thing that said, oh, here's something with India maybe? They probably put that report on the desk. And for some reason, the Prime Minister decided to pick that thing up and start a diplomatic war. It's so mind-boggling that I can't understand the catastrophic failure of statecraft, intelligence, and just, you know, moral fortitude of the Prime Minister. This is inexplicable how this has happened. And if there is something concrete that is not open source, if it's not released now, it's pure insanity. And if we can't release it now, why can't we release it? Couldn't we wait 3 more months to complete the investigation? Why did we have to start a diplomatic war this week if we couldn't have an intelligence report ready to go that wasn't just someone Googled something or someone got some Google searches sent to them by some random crazy guy? This isn't enough evidence to convict anyone of anything. This is an open source intelligence report. It's something you would give and distribute internally and have people look at and say, this is interesting, and then do an actual intelligence gathering and then do an investigation. We don't have any evidence of an investigation.
David, what I want to ask you is about not just about the case of Nijjar. If you leave that aside for a moment, look at the manner in which the Canadian government, the authorities have not acted on credible inputs that India has shared, including the one for the 25th of September that says the ISI is fomenting trouble in Ottawa. Also, in fact, encouraging Pakistanis living in Canada to join in the stir on the 25th of September. Not just that, the last few weeks and months have seen attacks, Hindu temples being defaced, the manner in which Khalistanis have organized all of this trouble in Canada. The government just chooses to look away.
Again, maddening. The absolute permissive and tacit endorsement of terrorism in this country under Justin Trudeau is ridiculous. Okay, for context, it's not just Khalistanis, it's not just Hindus who suffer. It's an absolute clown show of a country when it comes to terrorism and Justin Trudeau. When ISIS fighters, literal ISIS fighters, were returning to Canada, the Conservative government raised concern about literal ISIS fighters, mass murdering rapist slavers coming back in. And the Trudeau got on and said, that's Islamophobic. And quote, the ISIS fighters, returning ISIS fighters would be a powerful voice for de-radicalization. That's right. Our Islamist de-radicalization program will be led by ISIS fighters. This was a Justin Trudeau terrorism ploy. You could think I'm joking, and I wish I was joking, and some of it is funny, but this is really what Canada is. And part of our de-radicalization program was actually literally writing poetry. Now, we did fund this, and no poems are ever written, but this is Canada on terrorism. And there's a myriad of reasons you can provide. It can't, the level of tacit endorsement of terrorism under this government can't be explained by one single thing. This is a confluence of multiple different factors that are within the absolute moral degradation of Trudeau's Liberal Party. It's not the same Liberal Party that was run by John Chrétien and Paul Martin. This is the party is broken beyond repair. It's a cult of personality. Right. All competent ministers or the ones with the spine have been removed or resigned in scandal or just quit. Right. The level of unseriousness of this government to do is...
I'm going to thank you, Daniel, for joining us and joining us with your views and your perspective on that story that you yourself are tracking very, very closely. We'll, of course, continue to track those details and, of course, will, in fact, be looking forward to having you on the show once again because this, again, is a story that isn't dying down anytime soon. This is a developing story, even as the relationship between both of these countries has essentially nosedived. And how? Thanking you, Daniel.